Time for Ask David. We ask you to submit questions to us on Facebook, Twitter, and by email. You can email us, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter @StarrPodcast and on Facebook, facebook.com/StarrPodcast. First question, David, in the inbox comes from Eddie. Eddie wants to know, David, how different is driving a race car compared to driving fast on the interstate?
Oh man, it's it's a lot different. You don't have to,
Really?
you don't have to worry about getting pulled over and somebody running into you running into them. I mean, that happens on the racetrack, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's night and day difference, no doubt about it. The car I'm driving on the racetrack is built for speeds 200 miles an hour, 190 miles an hour. The pickup truck that I drive on the street, I mean, if that thing goes 140, 150, I don't want to be driving in it. I don't want to be riding in it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so there's a night and day difference, and a lot of people say, man, you're so calm. You don't drive very fast. I love to drive fast. I love to race. But I find myself when I'm back home in Texas and just kind of cruising around, headed to the race shop or headed to the Texas Motor Speedway or wherever I'm going, I'm pretty chilled out, relaxed. If I'm running late, Tyler, look out because I'm going to get there. You know what I mean? But no, there's no comparison, man. It's had a friend of mine had a buddy of his just passed away. It was killed in an automobile accident, and the road's dangerous. And no matter for you, Tyler, or Dominic, or myself, or anybody watching, as much as I want to drive fast on the highway, it's dangerous out there. You know what I mean? I don't mind racing fast. I mean, that's what we do. But man, the safety we have in our race cars and the personal protection equipment we have, the harnesses, the Hans device. I mean, just on and on and on. We hadn't lost a race car driver since the late great Dale Earnhardt. You know what I mean? But man,
over 20 years ago.
Yeah, but man, some of our pickup trucks and automobiles, they're not really made for 160, 150, 170 miles an hour. So big difference. So I'm pretty chilled out on the highway, but that's a great question, and I'd tell you it's night and day difference.
So along those same lines, here's what I wonder, David. You get done with the race and you're taking the rental car to the airport. For people who don't know, after you change out of your fire suit and all that, I mean, you're driving yourself and you're getting right back in the car. Do you have to flip a switch mentally? Oh, I'm not in a race car anymore. I'm back in the street car.
Man, that was an issue years ago. And I remember Martinsville, Virginia, leaving Martinsville and driving back to Charlotte or Greensboro, North Carolina to catch a flight back to Texas. And I said, man, I had a great race. And man, I get my rent car and man, on Highway 220 headed south, man, I'm flying. You know what I mean? I look up my rearview mirrors and what I see, blue and red lights. I'm like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So, man, when they start hitting your wallet like it hit me for years, I mean, I had an issue for years. I was like, man, I got to slow down,
How many tickets do you think you've got, Dave, over the years?
Oh man, anybody that has a file cabinet, if you have your own file of traffic tickets, you've had way too many tickets. I'm embarrassed to say that, but nowadays, I mean, it's no big deal. Once I get done racing, I get my rent car. I know to chill out. It ain't no big deal anymore. But for years, it was a big deal, and it was a problem because man, once somebody walked up to your window and signed here. And man, probation and hit your wallet. It didn't take me long to realize, hey, I need to slow down. I'm not in a race car no more.
So they wanted you to sign it. It was not an autograph request.
Yeah, they didn't want my autograph. They want me to sign that ticket.
Did you try to tell them ever that you're a race car driver?
Well, I mean, it's happened to a lot of us race car drivers. I've been pulled over leaving a race, and I've just been pulled over in Houston, where I'm from, and the officer, once you give me a race, he said, "Hey man, are you the NASCAR race car driver?" I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "Hey, let's keep it on the racetrack." I said, "No, absolutely, sir. I'm sorry. I'll watch what I'm doing, and thank you very much. So I've had it where they recognize your name and they let me go, but most 90% of the time they're writing me a big fat ticket.
Okay. A little confession time. Let's go around the room here. We'll go to David last on this because I'm sure his is going to be higher than most of us. Dom, what is the fastest you've ever driven a street car?
Okay, I drove a buddy's F-150 on an unnamed interstate in Mexico. No, New Mexico. But I went 130, I think. I'm not proud of it. And I can say that because statute of limitations has run out. That was 9 years ago.
Wow. Okay. You got me beat. I hope my mom isn't listening. Mom, if you're watching right now, turn it off. Turn it off. You didn't hear this. My fastest, I've driven my current vehicle. I got to 110 on it was actually, I was on my way to Coda for the race because I noticed everybody was just flying. I'm like, okay, well, they can't pull us all over, so I'll fly too. Let's see how fast I can get to. And once I reach about 110, I'm like, okay, I'll slow down now. I have a natural instinct of when I go to a racetrack to drive a little faster too. I mean, to me, I think you have to speed going to the racetrack. I think that's just a rule. This is the way it is. Dave, what's the fastest you've ever driven a street car?
Man, our Texas highways, even if you're running 90 miles an hour, sometimes you're in the way. Yes. I'm like, man, I'm running 90 and they're flying by me. They must be doing 110. I'm not proud of this, but I've been about 160 miles an hour, on the highway and in a Corvette, and that's not something I'm proud of, but that was a long time ago, and looking back on it now, it's like, man, that wasn't very smart on my part. Have a tire come apart or a tire blow out or somebody pull in front. I mean, just there's nothing good that can come from that, but I'm confessing my sins here to everybody. That's 160 miles an hour, which I'm not proud of.
Dominic, I bet David's told you this at some point too. Every once in a while, I'll give David a ride to the airport. Usually,
I've had to do that before too. Yeah.
Usually he's running a little bit behind. That's okay. Yeah. But we'll get in the car and David will tell me, Tyler, you got to haul ass. And then I'll get there quick. And as we're pulling in, David says to me usually about every time, Tyler, you hauling ass.
I haven't had that experience yet. I had to give him a ride back from the Phoenix March race in 2021. He hops in. He's carrying a luggage. We're all going to go to dinner after the Xfinity race. And he's got his luggage, and the people we were going to go with couldn't go. So he comes to my car. He goes, "You're giving me a ride to the airport." I said, "Okay, no problem." So we go eat Waffle House. We can take a ride to the airport, and he gets out of the car and he goes, "Come here," and get out of the car, and he gives me a big, "I love you, man. Thank you for the ride."
That's what we do. We're here to make sure David gets.
Have you ever had an Uber ride somewhere and you're running behind and it's your fault, and it's like, man, hey, I'm running a little bit behind. Can you get me to the airport? Just step on it. And man, they're just a turtle. It's like, man, I'm like, God, it kills me. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's my own dang fault for running for being late. But anyway.
Man.